Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to do my fourth entry in my Brendan Fraser retrospective, and the movie is Journey to the Center of the Earth. And before I start, I got to say the YouTube stuff. This is opinion commentary, not the end of the world. There will be spoilers, just expect it. Uh, hmm, I'm not sure I have anything else to say about that. Um, the Oh, I guess I didn't want to say something about this. Well, two things. I'll start with something short. I over my headphones. I just want to share that I'm listening to "This Is the Day" by the because I just love a little concertina every once in a while. I mean, it's like a happy, upbeat tune, but the lyrics are I don't know. They don't quite match up. But if you want to know what that's about, you can find Vava on YouTube, Thethe, and the song is "This Is the Day." So, wait, hold on a second. I think I'm crazy. Let me just, I think I'm wrong about the music. Let me just real quick check something. I'll be right back. Okay, so I was right. It is the. The confusion was, and now it's going to get more confusing because because I was thinking of was not was. Are you confused yet? I'm going to stop talking about music now. The reason why I want to mention it though is because there's no way in hell I could pay the licensing fee to play this song. So if you would like to play along while you're watching, you know what I'm listening to. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk about had to do with the Brendan Fraser movie thing. He I don't know what it is. Like there's something in the air right now where people are like, ah, Brendan Fraser, love it. And I don't disagree. But I'm telling you, the man's stock, everybody's like getting in on him again at the same time or getting in on him anew. Get your mind out of the gutter. But yeah, his stock is totally going up because since I started doing this, I tend to use a lot of stuff that I can get for free just because, not to get too personal, I don't always have money to spend on that, like a movie, even for this, because I'm not like earning anything for doing this. This is all coming out of my pocket. Like whatever I do to, prepare the content for this or whatever I'm talking about, I'm buying the movies. Like I'm not getting any, there's no income incoming, is what I'm saying. So I started out this deal thinking that I would start with like the silly stuff, like Encino Man, because I, kind of wanted to go in a linear order, but I'm also flexible about that because I have flexible views about time in the same way. Like you can put it in a line, but really, right now is 8 a.m. Like that is my mindset about it. So really, not putting the movies in order doesn't matter that much. But the thing was, is like I thought I'd start with the early stuff, the kind of goofy stuff, and it was fun. At the time, I haven't seen it since. It's been like 40 years or 30 years, whatever. It's been a long time since I saw George of the Jungle. Anyway, but yeah, Encino Man. Like, I'm sorry to characterize it this way, but like the stupid shit was it like you had to pay for it. Encino Man, uh, George of the Jungle, the cartoon movies, you gotta pay for those. But Journey of the Center of the Earth, when I watched it the first time, because when I just watched it as preparation for doing this, it was actually a rewatch. So the first time I watched it, it was free with my Amazon, you know, Prime subscription. Today, I had to spend the money that I made doing an Amazon survey on paying for Journey to the Center of the Earth on Amazon again. So They gave me the money and they got it right back. But that's okay. I mean, it was a pleasure to watch. And now I'll talk about the movie. Sorry, didn't mean to yell. If you've read the book from Jules Verne, which I did read it, I think I was still in elementary school when I read it, so that would have been in the 1970s. I kind of remember, but I can't like quote passages. Watching the movie now, the one I'm talking about, which of course stars Brendan Fraser. Let me give you some cast and stuff like that. It came out in 2008, 2008. I never say 2008. I don't know where the hell that came from. But anyway, 2008, that's when the Brendan Fraser version of Journey to the Center of the Earth. And actually, the book is called A Journey to the Center of the Earth. So in earlier films between the book and this, like the 1959 Journey to the Center of the Earth, which I also watched just to see, like, what is the continuity factor? And I found that they both pretty much stuck to the story very closely. And I don't know if it's because they're old, but that seems unusual anymore. And so the sorry, don't get stuck in your head. Okay, so like I said, sticks pretty close to the book. It's the one I'm reviewing today from 2008. Is of course updated to fit the times, and the cast is somewhat slimmed down from the 59 version, which I I don't think was the very first movie about that. Like the very first one may have been a silent one. I could be wrong about that, but I might also be actually right because I kind of grew up immersed in that stuff. It was like actually on the television when I was growing up. So yeah, LA was rocking before like Fox bought Metro Media 11. Lots of great syndicated stuff. But anyway, I if it wasn't there, it was at like the silent movie theater in Hollywood, which on a side note is haunted. I didn't notice anything when I was there, although what happened that made it haunted happened after I was there last, so I guess that makes sense. I was gonna say, oh, maybe I'll go back, but you saw what happened to my face when I thought about going back to LA right now. Like, probably ain't gonna do that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that I like financially, like, it'd be really hard to go right now, like, to get up and go walk out the door, like, right now. So, but then I thought, oh, wait, there's a whole bunch of reasons I really don't want to go back there right now, or, maybe at all. I don't know. It's home, so anyway, I got to read the book, the original book. I got to see, like, I think probably about every movie that's been made about it. Ooh, great for me. I forget why I was even saying all that. But it was the version with Brendan Fraser. They did pare down the cast, but it might have been actually the same amount of cast members, just redistributed from like the 59 version to the 2008 version, because the main cast is Brendan Fraser, of course, Josh Hutcherson, and then the Anita, or the mountain guy, is an actress. I think that I read she was Swedish, and her name is Anita Briem or Briem. I'm thinking maybe Briem, but it's Briem. So either way, the only way I ever know for sure about this is if I hear the people say their names themselves, which I always look out for, because I mean, I don't think you could really screw up my name. I mean, I guess you could, but I appreciate it when you get my name right. And I think if you're going to talk about somebody the way I'm doing, you could at least do them the courtesy of getting their name right. So I apologize if I didn't. So that's the main cast. And then the other ones you only see briefly. And notably, one is Seth Meyers. And he is just so Seth Meyers. No, he's just super snarky, and he's actually really funny, as he usually is. If you're not offended by his humor, which I am not. In fact, I enjoy writing in the comment section, and they have a corrections deal where people also, other than myself, write in the comment section and kind of, it's called corrections. And he calls the comment section and then tells you what the how people corrected him. So I just, sometimes he'll say something funny and it's not necessarily a correction. It's just me fucking with him. Oh, screwing with him, or whoever reads that stuff. But I think he must get an eye of it, an eye on it, at somewhat, because his it seems real. The sort of like, screw you for correcting me, because it happens over and over for like the same stuff. And then also his staff is correcting his pronunciation, which I remember in one case, I know I'm digressing, but I'll finish quick here. In one case, he talked about one of his, I think, writers or somebody else on the staff that gets really annoyed with, I forget the word, but it's like, it's not the end of the world. You cannot really expect people to like take on your accent that you think the word is pronounced right. And the example I'll give you is nuclear. One's, and you clear, and one's and you killer. So, but it's, I don't know, regional or generational, but whatever it is, I mean, really? That's, I just think it's kind of silly to get so upset when the dude doesn't pronounce something the way you want. And it seems like Seth Meyers, the poor guy, is like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to open my mouth anymore. And I find that amusing, as you can see. Okay, I'm digression over, but so he's in it. Briefly, I mean, it's really a bit part. Liz Anderson plays the boy's mother, Sean Anderson. He is the nephew of Professor Trevor Anderson, who is Brendan Fraser's character. And the mountain guide's name is Hannah. And a little tiny digress, but I had watched the Mummy movies, and I actually watched this a while ago originally, and like I didn't get to it immediately because just life happened. But what else my place? What was I saying? Oh, the Mummy. A character in the Mummy was named Hannah, and I thought it was funny that Hannah carried over from the Mummy the name Hannah, not the same actress or character, but just the name Hannah carried over from the Mummy movies, and I just thought that was interesting. Ooh, wow, that was that. And then there's like, gosh, there's a whole bunch of people that I don't even remember. Like, yeah, I don't remember any of these people in there. Oh, okay. So here's the Icelandic guy that originally found, or the actor that played the professor, the Icelandic professor that originally found the crevice opening cave. I don't know. I don't remember. To the center of the earth, and then Trevor Anderson, Professor Anderson's brother, also is like a scientist, a geologist, or some such thing, and also like reads the Jules Verne book and takes what it says as if it's true. And so the Icelandic professor, like, he found it, but I don't know. I don't remember now if he disappeared in there the way uh, the other Anderson. What is his name? Max Anderson. Oh, and he was played by Jean-Michel Paré. There's no accent. My screen is cracked, so I have to make sure there's an accent. So okay, yes, Jean-Michel. I'm gonna say Paré, and they just didn't put the accent on there because pear doesn't sound right, but it's Pare. Anyway, he gets lost, but he goes in there on the heels, many years later, but on the heels of the Icelandic professor that made the same discovery. And what directed them to the place where they found the center of the earth, was in Jules Verne's book. And this is, see, this is why this is my jam. This is why I do it, because that book and those stories, like, we call them fiction, but I bet, like, in the next time they're messing around at the Arctic, they're going to discover exactly what was in that book, or they'll find something like that in Iceland, because, yeah, there's volcanoes and caves all over the earth and totally in Iceland, you know? But it's so weird, like, how in the media, I've talked about soft disclosure before. Soft disclosure. I hate these friggin' things. Well, they're fine, but I hate the glue. Anyway, stuff like this is, I think, part of that disclosure thing. And just because we just started talking about it or hearing about it, a lot of us, like, well, for me, right before Trump became president, and the couple of years before that, I was just coming across kind of interesting weirdo information. But it's been going on for way longer than there's been movies and televisions. And like War of the Worlds is another example of this. That is a book and a story later. I don't want to get too deeply involved in this, but I had run across a thing on YouTube, and it was entitled The Real War of the Worlds. So I clicked on it, and it was a story of War of the Worlds happening in the same way it was depicted by Orson Welles over the radio, that scared the crap out of some people. That was like oddly or misreported or something, like the amount of hysteria. But it was basically the same story. Ship lands in the countryside in England. People are curious. They walk up to it. It's radioactive or something. So like they get near it and they die. And then it starts like doing stuff. And it's just like in the book, it describes how a hatch opens. And the way they did it in the radio show is how it's described in the book, which came before the radio show or any of the movies, you understand. And he says it's like a giant jar lid unscrewing. And the video goes on, and it pretty much tells you the story of War of the Worlds as it took place in England. Like they eventually, I mean, in this time, it was like, I think the 17th century, so like the 1800s. I hope I have that backward. The 19th century. But it was, I don't know, like the early 1800s. Jesus, what am I trying to say? 1800s, whatever it was. They didn't have missiles. They didn't have like repeater cannons, like they didn't have stuff like we have now. They had barely more than a musket. You know, like I don't even know if it was World War One technology. It was very early industrial era. In what is it? The industrial revolution. Jeez, what is wrong with me? Come on, I need to smoke some more weed. But yeah, it and then anyway, it describes the story like they can't fight them very well, but they end up like making them sick, just like in every other War of the Worlds story you hear of. But so the thing about this was that it was reported, like it wasn't just the real story, like the real writing of it or whatever. It was like it happened, because they're like, oh yeah, the oldest newspaper in England totally covered this. And I'm like, and they're all, it still exists. And I'm like, no way. And I look it up, and it totally does still exist. I just don't know if from here I'd be able to get archival information, because I can't get, I think that every way that we have to do stuff online is like I would get blocked. Like I wouldn't be able to get it. Like I've tried to go to, well, I'm not even going to go there. It's enough. But what I'm saying is turns out like War of the Worlds was like really true. And it's part of the, like, everything they try to hide from us about stuff from space that isn't us. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it. It's not the time or place, but I'm just freaking say it. They're so worried about scaring us and worried about our mental health. then why don't they stop wars happening all around us? Why don't they do something about serial killers? Why don't they do something about racism? Why don't they do something about sexual slavery? All of that stuff is really scary and it's real. I swear to God, I think we can handle learning that there are spacemen. They don't want to eat us. There probably have been some that wanted to eat us, but I think the ones that don't want to eat us, no, I know the ones that don't want to eat us have run them off. But anyway, I think they're real, and I think I have reason. So, the that's what I was saying about like the Jules Verne book. Like it could be real, and it's part of the disclosure. Except I think like that was disclosure made it all like TV ready and like ooh spooky. It may have that level of whatever that is to it, but they're basically hiding. They're making a lot of money on stuff that they're learning from ET stuff they have, maybe current ET interactions or interdimensional, whatever. We never get told the truth, and they're doing it for our protection. But again, with all the scary stuff that totally goes on in the world, I mean, how ridiculous. Like, oh, they wouldn't be able to handle it, they'd panic. Yeah, we'd panic and freak out at first, but I think we'd get right over it. I mean, people can make the connections like the disclosure, exposure. It's telling us about us and it's telling us real things. Like in the UFO show, the first episode, the one that just came out on Showtime, where they tell you the true things, where the government leaks the true things, were in like the National Enquirer or the New York Post, like your total tabloids, and it would be like the stupid weird stuff, but somewhere in there where like Madonna has a pig alien baby or something, somewhere in that weird stuff is the truth that they do out. So there is truth to it, and I knew it. It's in, centuries old art. There's like Renaissance paintings with like a mother and a infant posing on a hillside, and then on the hillside above him, there's a dude standing on the hill going like this. What is that? And there's a freaking flying saucer in the sky, right? It's like, what did our government go back to like Italy in the 1400s and say don't show that to people? Like, ridiculous. They're real. Anyway, I think this Jules Verne story could also be real. All right, enough of my personal crap. The movie was great because last week, well, actually the past few weeks have been kind of chunky emotionally. I'm not the only one. You see, people are not doing well right now. Like, a lot of us don't even know how to act. Like, we don't know what the hell's going on with ourselves. And I'm saying that just because I don't know any of this for sure. I'm just saying what I appear to be. This is what I appear to be seeing. People are not in control of their subconscious, so all of their dark and ugly stuff is coming out in the form of the Karens. So no, you can't have a mask here, and your kids, have to go to school, and it just seems like, I know you're trying to get a point across, but do you know you're making people sick? Florida guy, like Texas guy. Do you not? I mean, these are your own people mixed in with the Democrats that are the devil cannibal people. You're the ones out there like actively making people sick with a potentially deadly illness. I mean, I see it. I don't know what it is. Well, I mean, I do know what it is. Everybody's at a different rate of speed, just for expedience sake. I might be in fifth gear. There's other people behind me that have the slower speed or on a fixed gear. I'm just like, it's very hard having a divided mind about this stuff because there's like the reality on the level that you live it, and then there's the stuff that I'm talking about that's like we see glimpses of it, it comes in and then it's gone, and we're wondering, was that real? And when it comes to that stuff, Yeah, I don't listen to other people. Like, I mean, I do listen to what they have to say, but if they don't agree with me about it, they don't have to. They are like not ready to, or whatever the thing is. I want to. It's not even that I want to believe like those signs that you'll see a lot of the UFO people have from like the X Files that Mulder had in his office. I'm beyond I want to believe. I just full on believe. There's too much stuff that verifies it in my mind, and it's obvious that there's a lot that's being hidden, also obvious in my mind. But so I mean, I just needed a break from all of the realities, and I know that I wanted to do this Brendan Fraser thing, and it was a good choice. I mean, if I often say that I never have a bad review because I only review things I like, but I'll make an exception in this case, and it's really trivial. And I'm surprised that I noticed it because if you know me, it is not my lane. But when they're on the raft and there are like the lampreys with the needle teeth flying out of the water over the raft, and they're like dodging them or whatever, and they decide to go back to what they were talking about, Trevor and Sean, when they first got together, and Trevor was trying to make small talk inroads with him, get a feel like, what do you like, kid? I don't know what to do with you. And he mentions the batting cage, and the kid was just like, snotty little teen. And then they get out here on the raft, and the lampreys are flying all over the place, trying to get them with the teeth, and they got handy pieces of log for some reason on the raft, and they decided to start playing batting cage with the lampreys. But before they start doing it, when they get the idea, Brendan Fraser says or Trevor says to Sean, "Hey, remember how to switch hit?" And then he like tosses like a bat to him, or he tosses a fish to him, and the kid like hits it. And I was like, that ain't switch hitting. And then I looked it up because, like I said, baseball, I have a pretty fair understanding of it, but if you take me to a baseball game, I am going to go to sleep. It's not on purpose. I if I decide to agree to go, like I want to try to enjoy the game, but man, I always fall asleep. Even I went to a playoff game in San Francisco. I was, it's like the most. It makes me sleepy. Okay, so that's my only criticism. If this is the Spirit TV critic, that's my criticism. I don't know what else to call it. Like I don't really feel like I'm critical, but that's what review shows call it. I'm thinking about changing the name, but nobody's really noticing yet, so I don't know if I want to bother right now. There may be no point. I may just keep it. Okay, so it is a fun adventure. If you have little ones, there's nothing in it that you have to do ear or eye muffs for. It's very sweet, actually. Um, it has, what I liked is it has a lot of just sort of offhand science just given off, and it's all right. It's all true. Like they don't say anything fictional, and I appreciate that. So it's like, um, for the time that it came out, the effects, well, 2008's effects were pretty good, and he didn't have that thing happen in the scenes that he did because he wasn't doing like hand-to-hand combat, where like now it may be a feature of the actor's age that you can totally see like each person going through the fight scene choreography is like waiting for the other. It's no longer, it doesn't look like they're like actually hitting them. You can actually, I don't know, it's like the older guys, you can tell their reflexes are just slower, or they're just more reserved. And I even, sorry ladies, because I feel bad too, but even Keanu Reeves was doing it. I first kind of noticed it when I was watching Endgame, Avengers Endgame, and James Brolin was fighting. And I shouldn't say it was the first time I noticed it, but it was really pronounced. I actually had noticed it before. I noticed it in No Country for Old Men, which was several years before this. See, not a sci-fi. I like other stuff too. Um, but it just, you can see like they pause and they hesitate. Sorry, I have a spoonerism occasionally. Um, but even in the Mummy, and he was fighting a lot of CG. Even in that, I didn't really see that kind of. I didn't notice it. So, but he wasn't in this. He wasn't doing hand to hand fighting. But there was like a lot of falling, and I guess it's artificial, like green screen CGI. I don't know how much CGI 2008. Some probably. But what I'm getting at is overall, it looks good. It sounds good. The story moves along really quickly. Like, I actually watched it twice yesterday, so that makes a total of three times because, of course, I was writing notes or talking. And what the hell? I missed everything I said because they said because I was blabbing. So I really like watched it pretty thoroughly. And then, like the third time, I think I was just tired and made sure I was kind of too stoned to move. And then I just watched it. So it's in there. But I mean, it's like totally appropriate. And it made me happy. It made me feel good. It like made me feel not stressful. And one of the other things that made me happy watching it is that I liked it so much. It was so good. And I just, like I said, like I felt like Brendan Fraser was there for everything, like a Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, and he just did not get his props. And he's damn proper. Everybody's catching on. So that's about it. Yes, I'm a smoker, but only of the green beauty. Um, sorry. Happy accordion. Thank you, and good night. Stop. Oh, that's. Hi, sorry didn't shut off yet. For real this time. Bye bye. No, come